Be direct. State what you want to talk about, how the issue is affecting the children, and what you'd like to do about it. Definitely don't dance around the subject. Be respectful. If you are respectful and courteous towards your fellow parent, you're essentially modeling the kind of behavior that you expect in return, and this can set the tone for all your interactions. Remain collaborative. If one of you is at fault for something, then it's very likely that both of you will know where that fault lies, even if neither of you admits to it. This makes it highly unconstructive to point fingers and score points off each other. And especially so if it's clear to all concerned that an honest mistake has been made, but both of you are trying your hardest to do what's best for your children. As an alternative, you should continue to make it very clear when mistakes have been made and that some things are unacceptable, but at the same time use collaborative language where possible, such as next time we should do blank, instead of language which singles them out and puts all the responsibility on their shoulders, such as next time you should do blank, or even worse, you should have done blank, which brings us to the next point. Stay focused on the present. Being specific in your communications means staying in the present and focusing only on the problem at hand in that moment. In this respect, for as much as it would be unhelpful and unproductive to link the present situation to an argument, disagreement, resentment, or wrongdoing from the past, at least not outwardly, it would be equally unhelpful and unproductive to dwell on things that have already happened and can't possibly be changed. This is also the reason you need to avoid the inflammatory, provocative, and exaggerative language such as you always and you never. If, however, your parental partner has problems doing the same, the first thing to do is guide them politely back on topic. For example, you could tell them that you understand how they feel, but believe it's best for the children if you stick to the matter at hand. That isn't to say that everything off topic will be inflammatory or in some way detrimental to your child related conversations, but as each new topic is presented, you should strongly consider if it's something you want to get into or something you'd like to think about and return to at a later date once your thoughts have been collected. Listen to their opinion. Giving your full attention is not only respectful, but it makes for clear and effective communication. So, no matter how you're communicating with your ex, as well as those skills you've learned to put across your own opinion, you also have to listen to theirs. A big step towards this is removing the barriers that would prevent you from doing so, which means turning off electrical devices such as the TV and your phone, unless you're using it to communicate, of course. Once there is nothing else to focus on, you can give each conversation not just your full, but your undivided attention. Try to see their perspective. To truly listen is to try your hardest to see the world from the other person's perspective, to step into their shoes, as it were. To help you do that, you can use reflective listening, which not only helps you to clarify and get a better understanding of what the other person is saying, but also makes them feel heard. In this respect, the simplest reflective statements will start out with phrases such as, "So what I'm hearing is," and "So what I think you're saying is," after which you can either repeat what they've said to you exactly as you believe you heard it, or paraphrase it in your own words before adding an optional ending such as, Is that right? Or is that what you're saying? These kinds of statements and questions will show your parental partner that you're attempting to process what they're saying to you. It also helps you to remember what was said. Not only that, but if you approach your most delicate interactions this tentatively and put the responsibility for understanding on yourself, then you lessen the chances of saying something inflammatory while allowing your parental partner the opportunity to confirm or contradict your reflections and refine, expand upon, rephrase, and even rethink their position. Explore their reasoning if you want to. Once you've clarified their perspective, you might take a step further and explore the reasoning behind it. To do so is to take those internal judgments you may be making, such as, how could they think that? And turn them instead into thoughtful and well considered questions. In this case, how could they think that? To answer this overriding question, you might ask other questions, such as, is that something you read somewhere? And an inquisitive, rather than challenging, what made you think of that? Then, once you've established where the ideas came from, you'll be better positioned to explore them and offer a counter perspective or a counter suggestion, though you may want to take some time out before you do so. To achieve this, just say something like, that's interesting, and I'll need some time to think about it. Would you mind if we talk more about it next time and move on to something else for today? Show flexibility. Similarly, if you're pushed for your opinion of their suggestion, instead of telling them straight out that you disagree, you might tell them you're not as sure as they are, or you're not quite there yet and need some time to think about it. But you are open to being convinced. After all, if you want them to listen to everything you say and be open to changing their mind, you'll first have to show them that you are willing to listen to what they have to say and are open to having your mind changed as well. Just don't dismiss their opinion out of hand, especially before you've clarified your understanding of it. Model good behavior. While it is true that you only have control over your part of the conversation and what you say and do, you can influence their part of the conversation through your actions and reactions. For example, when you're doing any of the things we've talked about in this section, what you're also doing is modeling the kind of behavior that you expect in return. It's the very essence of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Reward good behavior. Another way to influence somebody else's behavior is to reward it. What this means is that when your parental relationship is working well, you should draw attention to the fact by acknowledging it out loud or in writing. So you may say something collaborative like, we've really improved our communication over the last few weeks, and I think it's having a positive effect on the children. Or something that singles them out, such as, it was wonderful what you did for the children this weekend. They haven't stopped talking about it. Punish bad behavior. On the other hand, if your ex is being difficult or causing some other kind of conflict, you should calmly yet assertively point out that the conversation has gone off track and you're both getting louder or both getting upset, or both of you are doing or feeling whatever else it is that your ex is doing or feeling, and suggest you continue the conversation later when both of you have quietened and or calmed down a bit. Notice once more here that we're suggesting you use collaborative language, even when your ex is behaving inappropriately. And while we'll admit that this approach is definitely far less assertive than telling them straight out that they have overstepped a boundary and you won't tolerate it. It also gives them a lot less to push back against and makes it more likely the current interaction will soon get back on track. In this respect, they will either try harder or continue to react inappropriately. If it's the latter, or they try for a while before slipping back into bad behavior, you should tell them the conversation has reached a point where it's no longer of benefit to the children, and that's why you should end it. At this point, and before you hang up on them, walk away from them, or stop replying to them, you should further inform your ex that you'll contact as normal the following week, unless something urgent happens, in which case they'll hear from you in the usual way. After you've ended the conversation, they may try to contact you. If they do that by phone, you should answer and let them say their piece, unless, of course, their piece is disrespectful or in any other way unacceptable, in which case you should tell them so and give that as the reason you're ending the conversation once more. Likewise should happen if they contact by any other method, and you should further inform them that you would expect exactly the same treatment were you to start acting as they are. Do this from the start and carry it over to all forms of communication, and you'll set a precedent that both of you can adhere to in all those moments where you're faced with similar behavior, which hopefully, once you do set this precedent, will not be any at all. Keep calm at all times. No matter what happens in your interactions, you should try your very best to remain as calm and as collected as possible, and to keep your own emotions, especially anger, under wraps. One way to do this, which we've spoken about already, is diaphragmatic breathing. But whether you're corresponding with your ex, talking on the phone, or meeting face to face, you will have an opportunity, if you're feeling any kind of negative emotion, to excuse yourself from the conversation, to use the bathroom, for example, and restore a little composure. Once you're away from the situation, you can center yourself emotionally by taking some longer and deeper breaths that will slow down your heart rate and lower your stress and anxiety levels. You might also remind yourself of your goals for this relationship and ask yourself earnestly if going back and continuing the conversation is likely to help or hinder their achievement in any way. If a combination of these strategies is not enough to calm you down sufficiently, or to enable you to take sufficient control of the situation, then hopefully you'll be honest enough and aware enough to tell your ex you have much to think about and suggest you postpone the interaction until you get your thoughts together. Share in the good times. Finally, for all the things that you and your parental partner will do to make this difficult time and this difficult transition as smooth and painless as possible for your children, don't forget, confidence is permitting, to share in all the good times as well, and to show those children that even if you're not still together, you are and will always be united in the common goal of making their lives the happiest and most fulfilled they can be. If you can't reach an agreement with your ex, then mediation could and definitely should be an option for you, and especially if you are committed to doing what's best for your children. You'll find all the information you need to get started and so much more through the resources area of our website.